Hi, I'm Vanessa Love, and this is my channel about the mental health field and related topics. So today it is about the mental health field. Okay, and the earrings, they are from Romeo and Juliet, 1996. It's Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes playing Romeo and Juliet. People have noticed that it is Leonardo DiCaprio. They just don't know the other person. Anyway, just kind of a reiteration, I guess, there. Okay, so I mean, I always just try and give kind of a dialogue, a thought process. And, I think that it's tough sometimes to kind of like, oh, well, I was thinking about this the other day, and like, I don't remember what it was that brought me into it, but then, I remembered and wrote it down. So there's a couple of things. And it's tough because, like, I mean, I do what I do, you know? So, yeah, I just, I don't even know where to begin. Therapy is a lot on you, and there's no way for like a therapist to make you go through any revelation, any spark moment, any oh my god, that changes everything, type of thing. Does it happen? Absolutely, definitely, but like it's not all the time, and sometimes it's not like right away. Like you do really have to trust your therapist in order to make any changes, but the changes have to come from you, and it's work. It's work on you. And my philosophy has been that I don't want my clients to rely on me. Yes, absolutely, they should come, we should have conversations, but I want them to be in such a good place that they might come back to therapy for like, oh, this thing happened and I'm not dealing with it well. Like, oh my god, I will absolutely be by your side. Like we will do this together. Even if it is just a person being like, and this happened, and this happened, like every session. Like that's okay. Like that's okay. Get it out here. And then you probably have your friends who don't want to listen to that anymore, and I'm here, I'm fine, you know so there's that type of situation. But for the most part, I want my clients to have the skills to live life and feel comfortable living that life. Oh, you had a little bit of stress today, they know what to do. Like it is not reliant on me. Now, other therapists, they want you reliant on them. They absolutely want you to make every decision based on something that they are giving you guidance for. And I don't know, I kind of feel like those therapists are probably out for the money. I kind of pad myself so that, like, if something happens to, like, 5 of my clients in a week, like, I'm still going to be fine. Like, I can make it. But, yeah, like, I think a lot of people kind of freak out when, they don't have those 5 clients, and I'm like, why are you not banking on like 5 of your clients canceling like this week? Like it can definitely happen. I have people switch and cancel and change kind of frequently. But I also have the clients that I'm like, oh no, they're on their way. Like, yep, 2 minutes late, we're all good. Like no worries. So when some of them are 10 minutes late, I'm like, what happened? Oh my god. But no, most of them are good. So yes, whatchamacallit, yeah, the work really has to come from you. It's not like if I had any control over my clients, like I would try and give them, like their ideal life. Can I do that? No. Is that always reasonable for them to even like begin to have? No. Because it just doesn't work that way, some people do have limitations, and like I have to acknowledge that, they have to acknowledge that there's limitations to time and life and a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not trying to like discourage anyone from anything most of the time, but I am trying to encourage people to live a good life. A life that they're satisfied with, a life where, when they think about things and say yes or no, that they actually want to live that, that that's something that they actually want to do. It's not just saying yes because they feel obligated or because, they really like the person and they don't want to disappoint. No, yes or no, based on your own needs, sometimes based on other people's needs, based on the life that you want to live, because some people just don't, they have trouble with that. What do you call it? Sorry, totally lost myself. Jesus. The person really has to take account. Now, there are people who, they can come to therapy. It might be something. It might be nothing. Some people weaponize therapy in all different ways. They'll be like, I'm in therapy. I should be given a chance to not have people put demands on me because I'm in therapy. I'm changing. Probably not changing. Probably not being honest with your therapist. Some people, I'm going to put you in therapy. It's not going to work. What good would that do for anyone? Like, please don't waste a therapist's time on these empty threats and, sitting someone down and being like, I told you we were going to a therapist because you weren't acting right. Don't. Like, it's just, ugh. I'm like, I don't even know what you would do at that point, but I'm like, don't bring them to an outpatient, like, therapist. Like, maybe you want someone that's inpatient. Maybe you want someone with an IOP or something. Like, I don't know what you're going to do, but, like, don't bring them to a private practice therapist. There's very little that we can do with someone who doesn't want to be there. So fun. So, yeah. I've also heard that people will be like, oh, I went to this one therapist and it was amazing. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe that therapist brought more insights to you, helped you through some things, and could definitely, help a little bit more with, some other stuff. But, some people who are like, oh, my therapist helped me so much, after 2 or 3 sessions, kind of like, but did they though? So yeah, there's a lot to that. Also, just kind of, I guess, reiterating the difference. If there's something specific that you want to work on, and there's something that it's just skills, oh, you just want to raise your self-esteem. Oh, you just want to kind of I'm reluctant to say manage depression, but I do think that some coaches can actually help you with that, as long as it's I want something that is interactive, and I can do it within 8 weeks. You can find you can find therapists who will help you with that. You can find coaches that will help you with that. There's some things that are just kind of oh yeah, I can't, a coach can probably help you with that too. But you also have to be very motivated to actually do the work. The coach, the therapist can't do it for you. They just can't. The other part of that, the art therapy part of that, lots of people think that they can do art therapy. No, it is a specialized type of therapy. I don't just know group dynamics. I know group dynamics in art therapy. And when people kind of try and downplay that, oh, you're just an art therapist, that's just this woo woo shit. Basically, it is learning more for the same amount of school as a counselor, a social worker, except I have to take statistics and social work doesn't. Like, I'm doing way more because I was taught way more, and like, it's so interesting when people are like, no, but you couldn't. Actually, like, it's like having extra education, and like, I do though believe that artists do have the rights to feel what they feel in their mental health issues, and that art therapists should not be like, bullying them. Now, my academics, they were bullies. The professors, the director of the program, all of them at the time that I went to grad school for art therapy were bullies. They bragged about calling other therapists and saying, you say that you do artwork with your clients, you gotta stop, you're not an art therapist. And I'm like, in some ways, I'm like, yeah, it can be very destructive to someone who is unknowing, because like, I've seen other therapists try to be like, oh, well, I heard of this art directive, so I tried it, and it was like, they didn't know how to manage it. It was something like, I think that the client hated it so much because it was like almost like an experiment, it sounds like, and I'm sure that the therapist was like so excited to get them to do artwork, that like the kid like drew the therapist like dead. And I'm like, okay, well, there's a lot to that me as a trained art therapist could definitely work with. I don't think this person knew how to deal with it. And like, there again, it's a whole lot of information that I'm like, I don't know, it's just in my head, and sometimes like, I wish I still had like my art therapy like textbooks, because like, they did have like good recreations or creation, whatever, of like things that like people were going through, and it's like, oh yeah, there was that one that had this, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, yeah, that's there was this one picture that was like a worm with big lips and big teeth, and I'm like, yeah, that is an eating disorder, like, there is no doubt about that. And then like, one of my friends one time like drew a picture, and I was like, this explains so much about you. It was a picture of him holding a balloon that was also his head, which I'm like, that I don't think he always felt like he was like connected to his life, so it's kind of like, yeah, I can see that. Not that he ever told me that, I think, like, it's just one of those things where like, in every action he was just kind of like passive, except for fighting with his siblings. That was fun. But yeah, there's like all of these things where I'm like, yeah, I know that that's just in my head, but like, can you as a person read all the same, but yeah, you can get the same education, but it's also like, you also have your experiences with it, So there was an artist a long time ago that was like, oh, I want to do like this like art project that would be like, going with teenagers, and like, we're like offering it to teenagers or like offering it to adults that like, to kind of like address depression. And I was like, ooh, the art therapists in this area are gonna be pissed off at you if you're like artwork to alleviate depression. Like, don't do it. Like, I know that you have your own like stuff, and also, oh my god, this person was a friend. Like, this other person, the story that I'm going to tell you, this person was a friend, former mayor of New London. He does artwork. Woohoo, yay, wonderful. He straight up called one of his exhibitions art therapy. He's not an art therapist. He just thought, art as therapy, and it's like, yes, sometimes your art is your therapy. Please don't do this. Like, oh, you know, this is what I think the other art therapists like absolutely lose their shit about, because it's like you kind of just disrespected all of us like by being like, well, I basically do it. It's like, I understand that you're educated, not in therapy, and that like this was a very like emotional thing for you, and that like you wanted to express that. Did you really have to call it art therapy? You know me, man. Like, I just, oh my god. But like, also as someone who like just is fed up with like the art therapy community, I'm like, no, bring it on. Fuck this shit, light it on fire. Like, you know what, if he wants to call it that, let's go for it. Let's not have these wars. Let's not have these wars within us, without us, outside of us, whatever, you know. But like, these are the type of things that like some of the older art therapists have been through so often that they're like, it can be frustrating sometimes. It's also kind of like, if someone has the experience though in using art as this like therapeutic tool for them to manage a whole lot of things, like I don't think that we as art therapists can like take over that, you know, and be like, no, that needs to be monetized, that needs to only be within the art therapy like confines of like a therapy session, you know. And it's like, no, people just like reading self-help books and doing, you know, workbooks, people can work on themselves. People can also do art and work on themselves. Like, you know, can a workbook be therapy? I mean, it can provide change. It can feel like therapy. Therapy is therapy, though. Just kind of reiterating. On the other end of the spectrum, like, I was listening to someone who was talking about how, like, spiritualism being a spiritual person is often like associated with like paying money for something. And you know, I'm like, yeah, I think that a lot of like people just end up like doing all of these things to like make them feel better, which is fine, you can do it, but like, that was one of the other things I was going to talk about, distress. But let's go with the spiritual people and money. And like, I think that when people are upset and they're going through a lot in their life, like they do want to have answers, and they do basically want to pay for them. And it's like, if someone sold a crystal that was like, this crystal absorbs all the negative energy and helps you like, you know, and removes all the blocks, and that you will have a good life as long as you have this crystal in your life. Maybe that does help people, but also, does it need to be monetized? You know, like, I mean, I don't think that people should just like give crystals away for free, but like, you know, people can definitely sit down and meditate, and that's free. You know, there's like free meditations on YouTube, that's free. You know, paying, like, it always seems like, with some communities, it's like, oh, you gotta pay for this book, you gotta pay for this workshop, you gotta pay for this retreat, you have to like only follow this person, because they're gonna get you to the best place, you know. And like, that can happen with therapy too, where it's like, oh, you have to like go to this therapist because this therapist is the best one, and this therapist is gonna help you, and this therapist, you know. And it's like, maybe meditation would work for some people, maybe it wouldn't, like, but you know, like, maybe some of the other ways to do things could work for some people, you know, and not invest in all of these things. However, when people are distressed, and I've seen this with my own friends, like, it is very hard to convince them to not do things, like not spend all of their money on trying to feel better. Excuse me. And something got like into my throat, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, was because like I wanted to like just be like, hey, you know, I can't help you when you are distressed. I can sit with you, I can talk with you, I cannot take the distress away. And it sucks, because like, if there's one thing that I could do, that I wish I could do, it would be to be a calm like, to take away someone's distress, but I can't. Like, people have to work on themselves. People have to learn how to deal with distressing situations, or they have to come to therapy so that, you know, they have the support through the distressing times, you know? But, like, man, I have seen one friend spend, like, oh my god, I can't even remember how much it was, $3,000 on, like, psychics and tarot card readers. Sometimes my clients do that too. They'll be like, oh, I called this, like, a tarot card reader, and she told me that if I didn't pay her $200 that she would put a curse on me, and that she couldn't tell me the rest of my reading. And I'm like, oh my god, you know? And then, like, my friend was trying everything. Oh my god, everything. Like, she was just, I think, calling around places and being like, do you do this? Do you do this? Do you do this? Maybe I should do past life regression. Maybe I should, like, burn this candle and, you know, write out things that I want on it. Maybe I should, you know, go to this, like, person who said they'll do, like, a whole cleansing, you know, ritual on me. Maybe I need to go and be under a waterfall. Maybe I, you know, and it was, like, all of these things that were always, like, I have to do things, I have to do things, I have to do things, I'm distressed. And it was, like, months of that, too. It was, like, I swear, it was, like, so much. And then she found that, like, the candle that the person said that they made, like, wasn't actually made by them. It was made by some other company. And it was like, well, they knew what they could do and they knew what they could get. And I mean, sometimes there are some therapists who are that way too, you know, like, that they're like, you know, I'm $400 for the hour. That's what you get, you know. And you know, like, if you need me in this, like, short amount of time, that's what it is. And it's sad, you know, like, again, like, I can't take away the distress. Like, people can't, like, make you regulate yourself. You have to regulate yourself. You have to figure out what works for you. You have to work on these skills, so that when something comes up, you can be like, yeah, that hurts. That's not a good feeling. I'm gonna be fine. You know, ideally, right? Unless it's, like, a huge deal. I'm not gonna be fine, but I'm gonna take my time, you know? Yeah, so there is a lot with that. And what else was I gonna say? Oh, it was just this random thing. Just remember, if you see a therapist and you end therapy, like, you have not talked to this person, not made, you know, not a reservation, Jesus, my brain, not made a session, not had an appointment, nothing for 10 years, that therapist is able to, like, destroy your medical records. Like, there will be no record that you came. There will be nothing about what you experienced. There will be almost no record. I have had to do this because I've been in Operation C. Sorry, my brain, it's going. I have been practicing for more than 10 years. So I'm now, like, yearly going through my medical records and destroying the ones that I don't need anymore. And so now, you know, like, it like, the only thing that I would ever be able to tell anyone is, like, probably give them a list of when they came. Can't tell you what you talked about, because I do still have, like, my, they're locked away. I keep physical appointment books, like, you know, when people came and all of that stuff. So I'm like, well, I still have the physical copies of them. I probably will be eventually scanning them because I do have a scanner, like a good scanner, like a book scanner. Yeah, there's a difference. And I would probably, like, have that in some, you know, digital, what is that called? Not directory, but, like, backup, you know, physical drive for myself if I ever need it. But, you know, these are important things because I'm like, well, yeah, you know, like, if it's been 10 years, like, don't expect your therapist or any of your doctors to have that information, but you do have the right to find out how they disposed of your information. Because unfortunately, if it is on some computer program that they've used or not used or whatever, you almost have to know where it is, because sometimes those computers sit in basements for a long time, and those programs sit, not being used for a long time, but someone can access your information. Yeah, especially like depending on how long ago it has been. There's a lot. There's a lot within the community, and now with like everyone who used Google and Apple having all of their passwords leaked. First of all, now's a good time to change your password. Second of all, now's a good time to find out where your information is, like, and how it's being disposed of, because like that's important. Like, I have people's social security numbers. Like, I can't, go willy-nilly with that shit. Like, that's why I was like, oh, even the appointment books I locked away. Because, like, that's not, that's not something that, like, I want to mess with. Like, a name, a phone number, anything. Like, no. No. Not allowed to get out. Anyway. I hope everyone is well, and I will talk with you all soon. All right, have a good one. Bye.